Good morning, I'm Joel Green on your hometown station, KHTS AM 1220. The subject today on Senior Moments is issues in aging, making your own decisions, your health. Today, your hearing and eyesight. Our guests are Dr. Patrice Rifkind of Audiology Associates and Dr. Craig Helm of the Helm Vision Group. Dr. Helm, we talked briefly in the first segment about cataracts and cataract issues. Let's talk a little bit more about some of the innovations that you see every day.
Well, we've had really a revolution in the development of lens implants over the course of my career. My first cataract surgery was now 25 years ago.
Wow.
And that means I did it when I was 4 years old.
Exactly.
You do the math. But I've seen a lot of changes in that time. And
like what? When going back 20 or 25 years, how did it start out?
The lens implants that I first put in 25 years ago were rigid and about 7 millimeters in diameter. Now, that may not seem like very much, but when the diameter of the cornea is 12 millimeters, you're making an incision that's over half the diameter of the eye to put a lens implant in for cataract surgery. And that meant a lot of problems in terms of curvature of the eye, astigmatism as we call it, and longer healing time, more risk at surgery. And over the years, that quickly developed into flexible lens implants that now we can put through a small incision. We use a 2.2 millimeter incision, and the material is soft, foldable. You inject it in the eye via a tube, and it opens up like a flower inside. It's beautiful. I never get tired of seeing it. But so small incisions, we don't have to suture these incisions, and now we have lens implants that allow people to see both far and near without glasses. So we're trying to achieve the most natural vision that people can get without having to wear glasses. It's amazing.
Has the recovery time improved as well?
Oh, absolutely, because we don't make these big incisions. Back in before my time, patients tell me that, when my father had cataract surgery, he had to be sandbagged for 2 weeks afterwards. It's true, that was standard afterwards, to have sandbags put on either side of your head to keep you from turning while you're sleeping at night.
Oh my!
So that you did not move. So if you go a generation before I started, the advances are even more tremendous. So yes, cataract surgery has come a long way. Again, we rarely have to put a suture in to close the incision with cataract surgery, which means a quicker recovery. We don't use a patch on the eye. People are able to see right away and resume their normal activities the following day. It's unbelievable.
Would it be correct to assume that the price for these surgeries has come down, or has the price gone up?
It's
because that's always relevant.
It's correct to assume that the price that we are paid has gone down.
Of course.
It's I think 25% of what it was 25 years ago as to what Medicare pays us for cataracts.
Wow.
But that's out of our hands in terms of what we're reimbursed. So the price for surgery has actually come way down over the years. We have people come in with no insurance, no Medicare, and they pay cash, and it's not $10,000. You know, our price is $2,600, soups to nuts, for cataract surgery if you don't have any insurance.
And at one point it was
several $1,000s. Absolutely, yes.
Right.
So it really has come way down.
And I would assume that the outcomes are more favorable.
By far. Outcomes are more favorable, and people's expectations are higher.
and consequently, are their expectations most often met or exceeded now?
They're most often met. Exceeded, we always strive, but we're trying to outpace expectations.
Sure.
And the expectations get higher and higher as we continue to deliver.
Right. Right. And we spoke briefly about some of the innovations coming up, and also innovations that are in place, Dr. Rifkind, with hearing. We talked briefly in the break about cochlear implants. Tell me about that.
Well, hearing aids are great for most people, and there are sometimes points where hearing aids do not help anymore. The hearing has declined to the point where they can wear a very strong hearing aid but still not hear very well. So at that point, and even before we would consider a person deaf, they may benefit from a cochlear implant. And we have a new alliance between our office in Santa Clarita and House Ear Institute in Los Angeles. So the surgeon is in Los Angeles, and basically the person can be tested at our office, evaluated to see if a cochlear implant would help them, and then they need to go see the surgeon, and then they can come back to us for all the follow-up care and adjustment of the cochlear implants.
What is a cochlear implant?
So cochlear implant is a set of electrodes installed in the inner ear, in the cochlea, and basically it takes the sound, instead of being acoustic sound, which is what you normally have with a hearing aid, or just sound traveling to your ear that is more normal. Basically it's converted into a electronic signal and stimulates the ear so that the person can hear very well often. They've improved over the years from just somebody having environmental sounds to the point where now many people can talk on the telephone and
Wow.
and be able to understand speech quite well. In fact, we aren't working with children for those implants, but children that have been implanted very young are able to learn speech normally, do well in school, and all that for the most part.
That's the cochlear implants, I think, really are something that most people have heard about, but don't really know quite how it worked. So thank you for the explanation. Would people use a cochlear implant and a hearing aid?
Yes,
Is that
they call
normal?
that bimodal.
Okay.
And so what basically is, the person has a severe to profound hearing loss or severe hearing loss. They would pick one ear, and it's complicated how they pick it, but
Right.
Basically they would pick one side to have the implant.
Coin toss?
And
Exactly.
well, sometimes it's lifestyle choices, like a person whose ears are fairly equal, who's been wearing hearing aids in both ears for many years, but is the driver in the car always with his wife, then maybe he would choose the ear
The
that
opposite
would be
ear.
Yeah, choose the left ear.
Yeah. Or we had somebody who does Morse code.
Wow.
And he hears it better on one ear, and so that's the one that we chose to implant. So.
And hearing aids have come a long way too.
Oh,
hearing aids.
so much.
I remember hearing aids as a child, where there was a little box
Mm-hmm.
and then a wire,
Strap.
a flesh-colored wire.
Yeah.
And now they're the size almost of the tip of a pen.
Yes, absolutely.
Unbelievable.
So, and the cosmetics of them have improved too, which helps to reduce the stigma that people have about hearing aids. Basically, when I started 20 years ago, or a little more than 20 years ago.
So you started when you were 4.
4.
Yes, me too. Anyway, so we had a little screwdriver. And you would
Exactly.
order the hearing aids. There were 2 different, pretty much 2 or 3 different styles, and that was it. So you would order them, and then they would come, and the only adjustments we were able to make was with the little screwdriver. A couple years later, they started computerizing everything, and now we have software where we can go and personalize the hearing aid for the person. Really, we have technically what's like an equalizer for a music, a high fidelity music system, and we're able to make a lot of changes to help the person hear in many different environments and help them hear more comfortably. And sometimes people will have them on their ears and say, I don't even feel them. I just know that I can hear better.
And hearing aids are not only on the ear, they're in the ear too.
Sometimes,
Many
yes.
times.
Depending on their hearing test, depending on what is appropriate for them audiologically, and that's what we can work with them on. But yeah, we have some young men who will come in and they wear their hair very, very, very short, and they want the hearing aid, for instance, not to show at all, depending on how severe the hearing loss is and
Sure.
and all. We are able to do some that are really completely invisible.
When Dr. Helm, when people come in, we talked about hearing aids, but are there tools that people use for low vision that you see?
There are. We don't dispense low vision aids, and we refer people to the Braille Institute for that. And I know that at least monthly, the Braille Institute sends a van up to the senior center here that is stocked with low vision aids that people can try. Different magnifiers, for instance, illuminated magnifiers, even video screens that will enlarge print to the size that they can function. They can read letters, they can write checks, and things that help them to take care of business.
What would be the takeaway for the adults and the parents of adults that listen to our show? What would be the takeaway that you would each say that would make a lot of sense and protect, at least as best we could, to the adult children and the parents of those children in our audience? For each of you, what would you want people to know and understand that maybe we didn't go over in the show?
Well, you mentioned low vision aids. We actually do dispense some things in our office.
Like what?
Well, for instance, they can get amplified phones for free.
Okay, that's my favorite word.
Yeah. If we recommend it, basically there's paperwork for us to fill out with you, and then we can we send that in, and they're mailed a phone.
Wow.
And that phone would be a regular amplified phone. There's different types depending on the person. They also actually have 3 different kinds of caption phones.
Wow.
Where as long as the person has wireless internet, they can get a caption phone for free. And 3 different companies are doing those, and they will come out and install it even to make sure you know how to use it. We have amplified alarm clocks, and actually we work with people on their cell phones sometimes because there's a lot of accessibility things available on a cell phone that we can help them find so that they can hear better on the cell phone and sometimes hear directly from the hearing aids. I mean, they hear the cell phone directly in their hearing aids.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Dr. Hell, same question.
For us, it's just bring them in. Let's find out what their vision is. Like I mentioned previously, many people don't realize that their vision is failing. They're not going to complain about it because it happens so gradually that they don't realize what they're missing. I once had a patient who could no longer recognize the faces of her loved ones.
Oh, my. Oh.
And that's an extreme example. And by that time, she came in. But how many years were lost? So my advice is to bring them in, whether they're complaining or not, so we can find out if they're seeing things as well as they could be seen.
And I would think that's the same with you,
Yes.
Dr. Rivka.
Yes, I was exactly thinking that.
Is it and this is kind of a loaded question, is hearing more important than eyesight, or is eyesight more important than hearing? Or are they both very equal?
Helen Keller said that hearing was more important than eyesight. She said that not seeing things separates you from things, and not hearing separates you from people.
What does Helen Keller know? She was totally wrong on that point, Joel.
But I agree that vision's very important too, and that's why I went and took my whole family to Dr. Helm.
Wow. And that speaks volumes right there.
Mm-hmm.
The way that people contact you, we're going to talk about in our next segment, and we're going to take a break. We'll be back in a little bit. This is Senior Moments on Santa Clarita's hometown station, AM 1220. My name is Joel Green. You're listening to, again, Senior Moments. This is Senior Moments on Santa Clarita's hometown station, AM 1220. I'm Joel Green. Our guests today have been Dr. Patrice Rifkind of Audiology Associates and Dr. Craig Helm of the Helm Vision Group. Doctors, closing thoughts.
Ladies first.
Patrice?
Well, I guess my main message is come in and get your hearing tested. We accept many insurance companies. We're actually also seeing some veterans lately that have previously had to go to the VA for services, and we've been able to help them too.
Is this going to hurt? When I get my hearing tested, is this going to hurt me?
Oh, not at all. No. I mean, it's a very relaxed environment.
Okay.
You come in, we talk, we look in your ears, we see if there's any wax in there. Sometimes that's the problem. And then we put you in a little sound booth, which it's actually not that little. That's very comfortable, and we give you some tones, and we give you some words, and we find out how you're doing with your hearing. It's very comfortable.
And hearing, can hearing change over time?
Oh, yes. Yeah, hearing usually tends to get worse as you get older.
Why?
But, well, similar to eyesight, basically there's changes that happen in your ears. There are little nerves in there that don't work as well as you get older. They say that about 80 to 100% of people by the time they're 80 have hearing loss.
Wow.
But it doesn't mean that it doesn't start much earlier, gradually. And even in your 20s, your hearing is already changing. And, different impacts, of course, whether it's noise exposure, heredity, some kind of different kinds of diseases that can affect it. Hearing will continue to change, but we never know how fast or how important, how much of a problem it is until somebody comes in. It's really hard to have somebody say, oh, I hear just fine, and it turns out they don't. And
Right.
Sometimes people will be very aware of their hearing and think that their hearing is horrible, and it's really normal. So that's why the test really will help.
Dr. Helm, closing thoughts.
A lot of people are squeamish about their eyes, and everybody wants to know, with respect to surgery, is it going to hurt? And surprisingly, cataract surgery does not hurt. We use drops to numb the eyes. For anxiety, we use IV sedation, and people are as relaxed as they want and need to be. It's a quick operation, and surprisingly, most people consider it an enjoyable experience.
Because, I would be one of those people that would be squeamish about my eyes. Because I've seen enough medical shows going back quite a while to know that with surgeries, there's stitches all around the eyeball, and that scares the bejeebies out of me.
Oh, except we just talked about that,
but
Joel.
not today.
That's right, not these days. But even if you did have stitches, you don't feel them. We do cornea transplants here in town, and they're stitched all the way around. And surprisingly, after a few days, you feel nothing with respect to the stitches. There's a layer of cells that covers those stitches, and it becomes comfortable. And you can have stitches in your eyes for years and have it not be a problem and not ever be felt.
Well, I mean, even without stitches, I had the LASIK eye surgery.
That's right.
And I would say the surgery itself did not hurt at all. Then there were a couple of hours where I felt like I might have
few
had
hours of irritation.
Yeah, had a little bit of shampoo in my eyes, a little light sensitive, but then after that there was nothing. No pain at all.
People are very squeamish in general about us touching their eyes, but we don't just do this on weekends. We do it for a living, and we make people comfortable. That's what we do.
It's not your first rodeo.
It's not our first rodeo.
Gotcha. Well, doctors, thank you so much for being guests on Senior Moments. Hopefully we will have you back, and we can go over a few other subjects. How can we get in touch with you, Dr. Helm?
Our number is 661-259-3937. If you can only remember 3 numbers, remember 259-EYES, EYES.
And Dr. Rifkot?
Our phone number is 661-284-1900. So that's 661-284-1900. We're on Valencia Boulevard next to City Hall in the Atrium building. And our website is www.audiologyassociates.net.
Okay. Very good. For our audience out there, join us next Thursday for Senior Moments, Aging, Making Your Own Decisions, and the subject is Should Mom and Dad Move? Exclusively on Senior Moments, brought to you by the Santa Clarita Senior Resource Alliance. On AM 1220 KHTS, your hometown station. You can reach the Santa Clarita Valley Senior Alliance by going to senioresourcealliance.org, or you can call us at the Santa Clarita Senior Resource Alliance at 296-8266. We'll see you again next Thursday, 10 to 11 on KHTS, your hometown station.